Welcome to KetoMealsAndRecipes.com. Today I will be showing you how to make authentic tasting keto teriyaki sauce and how to also turn that into a nice thick glaze. The macronutrient ratio for the teriyaki sauce is 2.7 to 1, and the total carbs, dietary fiber, and resulting net carbs are all for the full 160 gram quantity of the sauce. As well, the macronutrient ratio for the glaze is 2.5 to 1 as shown for the full 160 grams of the original sauce, which, by the way, equal to 190 grams when I made this glaze. Here are all the ingredients you will need. For best results, I would highly recommend that you follow the recipe weights as indicated in my written recipe. This recipe is quite easy to make, but I have discovered that even half a teaspoon change in quantity of any ingredient made a noticeable difference to the macro ratios, or it affected the taste. Now to make the teriyaki sauce. In a small deep pot, I first added the olive oil with the sesame seed oil, which, by the way, was the darker of the two ingredients. I set the element on my stovetop to medium and heated the oils. Then when I noticed the oil just starting to simmer on the edge of the pot, I added my little cube of ginger and the little cube of garlic. I cooked the garlic and the ginger for about 2 to 3 minutes, stirring as it cooks. Then pour in your granulated sweetener that is like a brown sugar substitute and stir it to combine well with the hot oil. Continue stirring as the sweetener melts. This may take a few minutes. As the sweetener melts, you're actually caramelizing it in the oil. In this recipe, I use the Lakanto Gold sweetener because it's the sweetener I use all the time. But I do know there are stevia-based brands that also have brown sugar taste to them. Use whichever sweetener you want. Unfortunately, I can only vouch for the excellent taste with the Lakanto Gold because that is the only sweetener I have made this recipe with. When the sweetener has completely dissolved in the oil, add the tamari and the cooking grade dry sake. While this mixture is cooking, stir very frequently as you cook and reduce your sauce. The cooking time will depend on your stovetop, but is in the range of 20 to 30 minutes. And that's all there is to making the sauce. To make the glaze, I divided the full batch of the teriyaki I just made, which by the way was 320 grams. So I placed half of it as my teriyaki sauce into a glass jar for future use. Now I'm going to show you how to make the thicker glaze, which is used in many recipes. I begin by pouring 160 grams of the teriyaki back into the pan I used, and then I add the dry roasted sesame seeds. At this point I also add 1/2 teaspoon of glucomannan powder to the sauce, stirring right away to blend in the glucomannan. After the glucomannan has been well integrated into the teriyaki, I put the pot back on the burner over medium heat. While it was cooking, I stirred until the sauce thickened to the consistency of liquid honey. Now that your sauce is thick enough, if you don't want the sesame seeds in your final product, all you have to do is pass the hot glaze through a fine mesh sieve to remove the sesame seeds and get a clear glaze. In most of my recipes, I just leave the sesame seeds in the glaze. That's because they add a really nice taste. But whether you want clear or with the sesames will depend on the recipe and the final look you're after. So here are the two jars with the finished teriyaki glaze on the left side and the teriyaki sauce on the right. By the way, if the glaze gets too thick between uses, you can easily dilute by adding a little bit of water, or better yet, use some of your teriyaki sauce to thin out the glaze. I prefer to use the teriyaki sauce because it doesn't dilute the flavor of the glaze. Enjoy! I will be posting several Japanese keto recipes that I hope you will try with this amazing glaze or sauce in the very near future. One last thing, both the sauce and the glaze will keep for a couple months in your refrigerator. So after you've tried this recipe once, double or triple the recipe. In this way you'll have the teriyaki sauce or glaze on hand as one of your staple ingredients, which you'll find is especially useful if you like Asian food. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, and if you haven't done so already, please turn on the notification bell. The printable recipe is available in the description below.